Any given Sunday or Monday, anything can happen in the NFL. The Dolphins' 27-20 winners over the New England Patriots have now resurrected their season and got them back in the playoff race. So
Playoffs?
we can talk about it. 3 games left. Alongside Sentinel Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly, I'm CBS 12 Sports Director Matt Lincoln, and this is X's and Omar, presented by Gulfstream Park. We are live here at Hallandale Beach, Gulfstream Park. Gorgeous day, a little bit on the cooler side. Bring your jacket. It's a gorgeous day to walk around. Have a
I'm
bite
not
to eat.
sweating for once. Yes.
I know, this is a very nice, thick.
It's velvet.
Velvet? All right. It's an odd choice, but go for it. All right.
It's winter. I could wear velvet.
Sure you can. All right, so Dolphins find a way for the 4th time in 5 years in Miami to beat Tom Brady. How did it happen?
Really, it came down to a lot of the young players stepping up, playing a clean game in terms of efficiency in everything that you did. I think there was really only 2 penalties that really stalled drives. Kenyon Drake showed us that he can be that workhorse back, giving us another back-to-back 100-yard game. Xavier Howard, another 2 interception performance. And really, this defense is allegedly built to play with a lead, and that's what they did. They got a lead up on Tom Brady, and they hunted him ever since, in the second half. And really, it prevented the Patriots from converting a single 3rd down. First time in the franchise's history. I believe they were 0 for 12 on 3rd downs, and that's quite impressive.
Incredible. They were able to stop the run. Really, the Patriots abandoned the run
25,
once they got down.
25 rushing yards.
Huge.
This is the same team that ran for 190 against Miami the first time they met? Impressive.
What do we read into this in the bigger picture? Are the Dolphins really a team that can now play with the Patriots? I mean, the people were laughing at the at tweets where I was tweeting out before the game that, hey, Dolphins have a chance at this. Don't just laugh it off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were laughing it off.
I think the one thing that I could really take from that game is this is a completely different team when they're at home as opposed to when they're away. When they're at home, they can score 25 points. That's been what they've been averaging this season. Away, struggles a little bit. When they're at home, they have a confidence level that they don't really play with on the road. And that, to me, is just one of the indicators that it's a young team. Seeing young players like Xavier Howard, for instance, step up and elevate his level of play, despite having some early struggles, just indicates they're a young team. Now, with young teams, you're going to have the ebbs and flows. And right now, you're riding a high, so enjoy it.
Riding a high at 6-7 right now. Has something changed? What has changed over the last 2 weeks? Because this season was in the dumps. This season was over. We were moving on at 4-7. So what's been different?
Yeah, people, I believe last week we were talking about the benefits or drawbacks to tanking the season.
Yeah.
I think what's happened is young players are starting to gain and develop confidence. Maybe they're starting to have an understanding of what they're doing schematically. Also, some guys are getting healthy. Now other guys are falling apart physically, but Jordan Phillips is getting healthy at the right time. Earlier in the season, he was bothered by an ankle. It sort of limited his snap count. Well, now when Devon Godchild is bothered by a knee injury, you elevate Jordan Phillips to snap count, he's raising the level of his play. So I think, and also on top of that, Jay Cutler didn't have a turnover game. Yeah. That's a huge thing, whether Jay Cutler, Matt Moore, or Ryan Tannehill. When the quarterback protects the football, it gives you more opportunities and more chances.
All right, let's take our first question. It comes from Luke. Can the Dolphins pull off a 9-win season? To do that, they've got to win out their remaining games at Buffalo, at Kansas City, home against Buffalo. Not exactly a murderer's row, but not easy games either.
Certainly, and all of those teams have their own issues. Buffalo, Tyrod Taylor is he's injured, but he's probably going to try to play. To me, Tyrod Taylor is the element that throws the wild card into it. You obviously know you got to stop Buffalo's run game. Dolphins have been hot and cold stopping the run this season. Kansas City, they were one of the hottest teams in the NFL earlier in the season. They're sort of bleeding out right now. So I don't think it's impossible that you can get to 9 wins. Is it realistic? I probably wouldn't put it in the realistic realm, just from the standpoint you're going to play 2 cold weather games on the road in Kansas City and Buffalo. And those are adverse situations for this Miami team.
Tough places to play, and certainly they're not playing their best football right now. But
certainly, but I think an 8-win bar is realistic for this team. 8 wins.
Oh, okay, that'd be nice. But hey, Let's talk. I mean, it's playoffs.
Yeah, sure.
9 wins.
I think that the percentage is like 6%.
I mean, some other things need to happen.
As they say in Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance.
Well, it's 6%, but it goes up much higher if the Dolphins take care of their own business and go 9-7. Next question from Jacob. Is there a correlation between Xavier Howard's rise to the last 2 games and the increase in man coverage?
I don't necessarily say that there's a correlation because they played a lot of man early in the season, and good defensive coordinators mix up their coverage in terms of man zone, keeping quarterbacks guessing. I think Xavier's playing, the talent has always been there. The ability's always been there. I think earlier in the season he was playing with a shoulder injury. That would certainly prevent me from calling press coverage if my star cornerback has a shoulder injury. So maybe they were leaning towards that a little bit. He's healthier now, and I think also the confidence level. When you get 2 interceptions and you realize, hey man, if I jump these balls and if I do the studying and put in the work, the results will come. And then you do it again, you're like, wow, okay, well the results do come. Let me take it to another level. And I think that that's what not just Xavier Howard, but all of the secondary members in secondary. Cordrea Tankersley isn't even playing. I don't even think we've noticed that. And Bobby McCain has stepped up his level of play, playing on the boundary, playing in a nickel. A lot is being thrown on his plate, and he's stepping up. So, this is a team where they've shown they can rise to the occasion, and they've shown they like when their back's up against the wall. Well, it's up against the wall now, and they've responded.
And let's also not pretend that we talk all the time about how getting up in games helps the pass rushers. Well, it helps the pass defenders, too. They can afford to take chances.
Absolutely.
All right, next question comes from Jonathan. Should the Dolphins keep Jay Cutler as a backup going forward instead of Matt Moore?
If you want a $10 million backup, yeah, that would make a great idea. But one, I don't think Jay Cutler wants to play anymore. No, After this season is done, I think he can comfortably go into retirement. I don't think he wants to spend the rest of his career as a backup to anybody, including Ryan Tannehill. Matt Moore's cheap, $2.5 million. Matt Moore's proven, and he's shown you that he's not really going to go anywhere else. I'm comfortable with Matt Moore as a backup. I know he could step in and give me some 100-rated quarterback performances. What's the harm? Now, if you want to go out there and you want to go a different route, I think then you try for an early draft pick. Not a first-rounder, maybe a second or third-round draft pick on a quarterback. But to me, Jay Cutler isn't the answer moving forward. It was nice to have you, Jay. Appreciate getting to know you, but, it's time for everybody to move on.
Sure. All right, thank you for watching. You're watching X's and Omar, presented by Gulfstream Park here in Hallandale Beach. It's looking like Christmas out here. The gorgeous big tree is out here right where we are, and lots of great places for you to come and eat and shop, get some of that Christmas shopping done. Hopefully, you got yours done? Christmas shopping done?
I've just got a little bit left.
A little bit left.
The important people are done, just a little bit more family members.
Okay, good. My wife's handling it all, so I don't even have to worry about any of it. It's all done. Here's an early Christmas gift for you. Let's play True and False.
Okay,
all right.
Know how
Your
much
favorite,
I love
our
that game.
favorite, everyone's favorite. Let's play True and False. First question comes from Shawnee Mack. True or false, the Dolphins won the Jay Ajayi trade?
Well, I don't know if you can say won, but they're okay. And I said this when the trade happened. They'll be okay because Kenyon Drake and Damian Williams, they both have talent. Given the opportunity, they will rise to the level of the opportunity. I say this, and nobody ever believes me, but I've watched Kenyon Drake for 2 years. I've watched Jay Ajayi for 3 years. I'm good with either or.
Right.
And in fact, I thought Kenyon Drake was the most promising back in terms of upside. The question is, could he do it consistently? So would I say that they've won it? I probably wouldn't say that, just from this standpoint. Dolphins got a 4th-round pick for Kenyon Drake. I mean, for Jay Ajayi. The equivalent of what you get for a 4th-round pick in the past couple of years has been Walt Aikens, Jelani Jenkins, Deion Sims, Lamar Miller, Clyde Gates, and Brian Hartline. That, to
couple
me,
players there.
2.5. If we're playing spades, 2.5, 3. Two and a possible.
Sure.
So, you weren't going to sign Jay Ajayi. You weren't going to have Jay Ajayi be part of this organization. You weren't going to pay him big dollars. And these backs are a little bit more versatile in terms of what they can do. So no harm, no foul.
All right. Next True and False comes from Michael Carroll. It's too early to know for certain whether Kenyon Drake is Miami's back of the future.
Oh, absolutely too early. I'm definitely going to say true on that from this standpoint. Kenyon Drake has done it for 2 games.
Right.
2 games. there's a long, lengthy career. You know, right now, I wouldn't even put him in a conversation with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
It's only 2 games.
It's been 2 games. Can he stay healthy? Can he be durable? Show me that you can do it for the rest of the season, and then I would say, this is promising, something to build on. You can go draft a running back in the later rounds, but right now, not sold.
Well, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how, man, first-round pick, what's the biggest need? Probably running back.
Yeah.
Are you backing off of that a little bit
Oh, yeah.
now?
Yeah, I'm backing off it just a little bit. Just a smidgen.
All right.
The Barkley kid, I haven't really taken a good look at him, and maybe he's just the enticing talent that you just can't pass up. But right now, I like what I'm seeing from Kenyon Drake. I'm liking the maturity that's coming with it. And to me, I think that was the biggest question and biggest concern that these coaches had. He wasn't showing you the maturity that he needed. That's why he began the season as a third down back. The talent's always been there. The coaches knew the talent was there. Was the work ethic? Was the maturity there? And I think he's showing that.
Even he has talked about how, we in the media talk about it all the time, that he's never had this kind of workload before. But even he said it after the game. He's like, well, I haven't had this kind of workload before. Even I don't really know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And obviously 2 games, it's been pretty good. Well, the Dolphins are going to need to start losing now if they want any chance at Barkley, because right now he looks like a borderline top. I'm telling you.
Adrian Peterson was, what, the 7th pick in the draft?
A lot of the people who do this draft prognosticating for a living
They just
saying
talk
top
out
5
there,
pick.
you know
Just
what.
telling you.
They don't know what they're talking about.
All right. Next
Anybody talking about the draft now is not in the loop. Because the people who actually make the decisions and matter, they're not watching any games.
Draft today. Fair enough. From Scott, Jakeem Grant will get 12-plus snaps a game from now to the end of the year.
That's going to be false.
Yeah.
If you're counting kickoff returns and punt returns, maybe.
The ball gets snapped in punt returns, so yeah, I got it.
I think it's a little stretch.
Okay.
But yeah, Jakeem showed you he showed up. They wanted to attack the Patriots. What is it? Laterally? Yeah, not vertically. No, laterally.
Sure.
Left to right.
Horizontally.
Horizontal. There you go.
Yeah.
See, look at you. That's why you're my partner. They want to attack the Patriots horizontally, and they actually achieved that with Jakeem Grant and his speed. Made some big plays. Lost out on some big plays. But he's showing you why this coaching staff has spent 2 years investing in him. Now the question is, can he do it on a consistent basis?
When a player like that makes a huge play and then botches a huge play in the whole game, do you build off that, or is that
You still build off.
You just build off.
Yeah, I mean, he scored his first NFL touchdown.
That's great.
Yeah, I never thought one would come, to be honest with you. So, outside of special teams, of course. He's proving that he has some talent and some ability. The question is, how long will this coaching staff work on polishing it up and refining it? I don't know. But, congrats to him. He got a touchdown.
Sure. Next is from Julio. At the level of play Sam Young is playing, Juwan James deserves his extension.
No. Even if Sam Young wasn't playing at this level, I'm not comfortable with paying Juwan, no offense, Juwan, $9.34 million, which would make him the 3rd highest paid right tackle in the NFL. I would argue to you that Juwan James doesn't deserve to be the 7th highest paid right tackle in the NFL. He's an okay player. The fact that Sam Young's gotten in there, or Jesse Davis, your pick, and the offensive line has solidified, it has become more stable, that should be all you need to know. And I'm not blaming Juwan James for what's going on, because chemistry was an issue across the board with everybody. Performance was not good enough with anybody. I think Ted Larson getting in there helped Laramie Tunsil get comfortable, solidify what he was doing. Jesse Davis is growing, blossoming as a tackle or guard. He's playing on the right side. I think he's a starter for the future. And then Sam Young's been a stabilizing force. He's faced some very talented pass rushers in Von Miller and hasn't been really a liability.
Yeah.
So that's a step in the right direction for this line. They're playing at an adequate level, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for what Kenyon Drake has been able to do.
All right, next one is from King Hyde. Jesse Davis is the Dolphins' starting right guard for the foreseeable future. Is the question there, is he starting or is he guard, right? Because he seems like he could be a starter. The question is what position, right?
I think that he is built like a tackle. I'm going to say that he's going to be a tackle, a right tackle. I think that you know, the pulling is just, it's decent, it's adequate, it's better than what you've seen so far at the guard position, but there's another level that they can get to. So I'm going to say he's probably a right tackle, but I definitely want to invest in him as a starter. He has to start the remaining final 3 games of the season, just because he's one of the more promising, talented players that you need to invest in.
It took us 8 weeks to start talking about Jesse Davis.
Yeah, I was talking about him from week 1, though.
Okay, but we've talked about how the Dolphins were ill-prepared with their offensive line depth coming into this season. Were they planning on Jesse Davis being this guy, or did they just fell into it?
They got lucky. They saw it a little bit in training camp. I remember when I first started talking about him was really the Philadelphia week of practice with joint practice. And he was really piquing my interest then, played well. I believe he started like most of the exhibition season except for the final game. And then they gave the job to Anthony Steen, which made absolutely no sense to me, considering how Anthony Steen had struggled as a starter and opportunity. Now you're seeing Jesse Davis thrive. So this is a perfect example that coaches don't always get it right. Because I saw Jesse Davis and I was like, starter. And they were like, backup. And here we are. 14 weeks into the season, and he's proven he's clearly a starter.
Yeah, definitely getting the best offensive line play of the season right now. Ryan, true or false? The Dolphins will win out and make the playoffs.
I'm going to go
2 questions. Let's do it. They will win out. True or false?
I'm going to say false.
Okay.
I think this is probably an 8-win team.
Okay.
And
so they're obviously not going to play the playoffs then.
No. I think too many other teams own your tiebreakers, and if they take care of business, you know, you're not in a situation where you control your own destiny if you're the Dolphins, and that's the position you'd like to be. That's the position they were in last year, and they rose to the occasion. And who's to say that they won't rise to the occasion and finish out strong? That would be great to see, but I don't live in la-la land.
I'm going to disagree with you in the sense that they're on the wrong side of the tiebreakers. I think they're on the good side of the tiebreakers other than the Ravens. I think the Raiders are fading, so they're not a player here.
So is every other team in the AFC West.
The Chargers, they're on the good side of the tiebreaker on the Chargers. If they win out, they're on the good side of the Bills. If they win out, they're on the good side of the Chiefs, and they're on the good side of the Titans. So how are they on the bad side of the tiebreaker?
You know who gets in your way all the time if you're a Dolphins fan?
Who's that?
The Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Ravens and the Dolphins can both make the playoffs. It can all work out that way.
All right.
So
we shall see.
We shall see.
I mean, they got to take care of business first.
Yeah. Of course,
and you know,
this is the epitome of
finishing
the
season on
fan/media conversation. It doesn't matter because we're looking at different things and we're breaking down the numbers, all sorts of stuff that the players don't care about.
Beat Buffalo and Buffalo, and I will talk about the playoffs.
Okay,
beat Buffalo in Buffalo.
We can talk about playoffs next week, everybody.
I see where you're going with your predictions.
True or false? Omar will enjoy his time in Buffalo.
That is an absolute false. Buffalo is my least favorite place in all of the United States, especially when I'm going in December. The people are not pleasant to me.
Oh.
I am not pleasant to the people. I will tell you that I do have a direct flight this year to Buffalo, so there's no prop plane.
Right.
So that's a positive step in the right direction. But I usually go to my hotel room, eat at my hotel. There's a great restaurant in my hotel. Which is why we generally stay there, and leave only for the game, come back, leave the hotel only to get on a plane to leave. So I will only be seeing the Buffalo Niagara Marriott.
You should go over the border. Canada's, there's
I wanted to plan that trip, and even with my significant other, we talked about it. She booked work time, and then we checked the weather. And she was like, no, I think I'm going to pass.
All right. You are watching X's and Omar, presented by Gulfstream Park. So let's talk about this game this weekend. It's Dolphins 6-7, need this one, need them all to make the playoffs. And the Bills currently
sit in the
ahead of them.
Driver's seat.
But if the Dolphins beat them twice, they won't be in the driver's seat anymore. We know what the kind of everything looks like. What needs to sort of happen, the way you see it, to get the Dolphins into the playoffs?
Well, now that Nathan Peterman is in the concussion protocol, and not that he was good, but Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting if he can stay healthy.
Sure.
He's got, I believe, a knee injury. Taking away Tyrod Taylor's mobility
That's good.
That's a good thing. But then you've also got to be able to stop the running game. LaShawn McCoy's got 1,007 yards this season. That doesn't even factor in the fact that he's the team's leading receiver with 48 receptions for 304 yards. And then you got Richie Incognito. You know how Richie Incognito loves these Dolphins games. Sure. And he's such a great guard that you got to be concerned about what the work that he puts in. So to me, if you can contain the run game, you will have a chance. You should be able to walk away with a victory.
Yeah, you know, and the difference in this game, rather than the last two games, is the Dolphins got up early, made those teams throw the ball, and then went after the quarterback. That is the blueprint.
That's the blueprint.
Bills will never stop trying to run the ball. If it doesn't matter, LaShawn McCoy could have 20 carries for 20 yards.
I believe Kelvin Benjamin is out, too.
It looks like Kelvin Benjamin's going to be out.
So they've got nothing but
They're just going to keep on giving it to LaShawn McCoy because eventually that usually does work for them. So they've got to. So Dolphins are going to have to stop the run and hang with it because this is not going to be a big Cam Wake game. It's not going to be a big outside rusher game. It's going to be those guys.
Cam's going to use that as blueprint motivation.
Okay. Did you see that? It's not going to be a big Cam game.
Yeah. It is. Yes, you're right. They got to stop the run. LaShawn McCoy is a dynamic talent, dynamic weapon, but they've done it. They did it last year in Buffalo. The weather was sucked then, too. I remember because I was documenting how sucky it was. Do I believe that they can pull off a victory? Absolutely. However, I will say this. Weather is going to be a factor. Hopefully, the Dolphins can endure it and overcome it.
Okay. Let's take some more of your questions. From Sean. Do you think it's possible to sweep the Bills? He was asking with Tyrod Taylor injured, let's say with some ill health at quarterback.
Oh, yeah. You can sweep the Bills. Obviously, the game changes when Miami comes home. They've got a quite favorable record in playing inside Hard Rock Stadium. Hopefully it becomes a little bit warmer than it is right now, and maybe the heat and humidity will kick in for Buffalo. But as we've said before, it comes down to can you stop LaShawn McCoy in that running game? They will be committed to the run. They don't really have that many weapons left. Charles Clay is out there, but you know Charles Clay is 34 receptions. He's giving you Julius Thomas type contributions this season. So the question is, can you stop LaShawn McCoy? And I have to believe that he can. Remember, this is the Kiko Alonso, LaShawn McCoy revenge game.
Revenge game?
They don't like each other very much, so it should be interesting.
Okay. Next one from Jonathan. When do we get Damian Williams back? Love Drake, but two sets of legs are better than one, in my opinion.
I think
when Drake went down in this last game, there was that thought of, oh, man.
What now? Yeah,
so,
yeah. Sonoris Perry, though, I think he did an okay job. I mean, he showed you that his job is not too big for you. You know, I hate to be disrespectful to running backs, but you can go find a running back anywhere. I'm sure there are a couple of guys out there on the street who can tote the ball and get the job done for Miami. But yes, Damian Williams is a valuable piece when it comes to third downs and when it comes to the red zone. That's his role with this Miami Dolphins offense, and it'll be interesting to see if he's able to pull that off. I think he's going to practice this week. I'm not sure he's going to play.
I was going to ask you about that. Okay. Jay Ajayi, a guy that, you know, certainly had injury issues, but not what a lot of NFL scouts were saying, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Kenyon Drake, a guy, back up lots of time, you know, not many people scared of what Kenyon Drake's going to do. Both of these two guys have shown that they can put up elite production as running backs of the Dolphins. Does that mean that these two guys are better than everyone thinks, that this offensive line is better than everyone thinks, or that really kind of any halfway decent running back can perform in this Adam Gase offense? Or that overall we're just overrating running backs in the NFL? What's the answer to that question?
I think it's C. I think Adam Gase doesn't have a high opinion of the position, does not believe that you need to pay top dollar for the position. And in fact, he said, I'm not going to ever do a featured back anymore. That's just not my thing, not my style. I'd rather keep a guy fresh in there, fresh legs. I'd rather guys have roles. I'd rather guys share the backfield. So it looks like that's where the Dolphins are going to be headed moving forward. The position is not as valuable as it once was in the NFL, especially in how pass happy this league has become. And the value has just been brought down.
Reading between those lines about what we think the Dolphins are going to do in the first round next year. It's not going to be pick up a running back. Next question, last one from Solomon. With Tony Lippett, Xavier Howard, Bobby McCain, and Cordray Tankersley's continuous development and the safety tandem, can this secondary be elite?
Woo! I think you need one elite cornerback to be elite. I think Xavier Howard is good. I think he has the talent and ability to become Vontae Davis-esque. But is that elite? No. And so I think I don't really see them becoming elite. I could definitely be wrong, but I think that they can be reliable, consistent, respectable, stingy. But elite, that's a little bit of a stretch.
Okay, let me give you this one. Added maybe another guy on that front line. Raekwon McMillan winds up being good next year, a good player. And this group of DBs. Can this be an elite defense next year?
No.
Okay.
I think you're aging a little bit too much on your defense. Either Lawrence Timmons, Kiko Alonso's getting up there in the age, Cameron Wake, Andre Branch, Ndamukong Suh's in his 30s. I think you need to reshuffle the deck either a year or two from now.
Okay. Prediction for Sunday.
I'm going to predict a 17-13 Dolphins victory from this standpoint. I think they've got their mojo back. I think they have their confidence. They're not riding that, oh, woe is me, that they had during the 5-game losing streak. And I think they just want to continue the party. There was a lot of dancing going on inside that locker room, including a picture of Dan Marino getting into the groove, doing his little funky chicken. Yeah. And I think they just want to keep the party going.
I agree. I think you look at the way this defense is playing and the offense. I mean,
you're never going to catch me continuing to pick same games I'm picking.
Telling you. Well, I'm just saying, this game, I feel like when you look at the momentum, it's all in the Dolphins' direction, even though the Bills found a way to win that game last week over a bad Colts team in ridiculous weather. I still like the Dolphins this week, 20-16. Winners over the Dolphins, so there we are. I'm sorry, winners over the Bills. There we are. We're both taking the Dolphins to win again. Thank you so much for watching X's and Omar, presented by Gulfstream Park. Hang on if you are watching us live. You send us your questions using the hashtag XOmar, and we will take them on X's and Omar Overtime. Remember, you can listen to the X's and Omar podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search X's and Omar. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week. Welcome to X's and Omar Overtime, presented by Gulfstream Park. We are live here at Hallandale Beach, time to take your questions that you've sent us today on Twitter, on YouTube, and also on the chat.
This is X's and Omar Overtime. We actually take the questions that have been sent to us during the show. So if you're watching the show at 1 o'clock on Wednesdays and you want a question in overtime, or you want to be one of the members of our studio audience, we're multiplying, by the way, we will definitely take your questions. The first question comes from Frank on the Dolphins on the YouTube chat. He says, has Adam Gase finally gotten out of his slump and figured out his offense? I think he's always known his offense. I think it's about getting comfortable and being able to utilize those weapons. And right now, I just think that they're hitting a groove with Kenyon Drake. Teams don't have a scout on Kenyon Drake. And until they do get a scout on Kenyon Drake, it's going to open up a lot of things for a lot of other players.
All right, next one. This is more of a statement because Burritos for Breakfast loves to send me these sorts of things. Celebrating small battle wins while simultaneously losing the war every year is so Dolphins fans and media. Omar Kelly, y'all think too small. Short-term gratification at the expense of long-term misery.
Okay, well, he says, go ahead.
I think his point is that this is not something to be excited about, the fact that the Dolphins have won 2 straight wins. You should not be rooting for them to
win games.
Win games. You should be rooting for them to bottom out and change the quarterback and everything that is not good enough to win multiple titles.
It's hard to sit there and justify what he's saying. I hear where he's coming from, but you just beat Debo. You knocked Debo out. Yeah. By Debo, I'm referring to the Fridays movie. Debo is the big bully in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You knocked Debo out. You've now beaten them 5 out of 7 times on your home turf. That injects confidence into your team, especially every time you're playing them. Maybe not on the road because they're very difficult to beat in Foxborough, but especially at home. You should feel like this is your turf. And if you play a clean game, and they really did play a clean game, you will give yourself a chance. The problem is everybody doesn't play a clean game, and they lose confidence, and then they're drowning in their own saliva by the time the fourth quarter gets here. That didn't happen this time. Now that you've beaten the Patriots, you should have the confidence to believe that, hey, we just beat the team that's probably going to end up in the Super Bowl. We just beat 2 teams that played in the Super Bowl last year. We might be pretty good. We might have talent. Maybe that helps them buy in a little bit more.
All right. Next question from Zach. What will the Dolphins do to help prepare for the snow?
Only thing that they can do is go inside the bubble and
turn up the AC.
Turn up the AC, and I think that's kind of pointless. Maybe they're practicing in higher cleats, just so that they can get used to or comfortable with them and making the right cuts. The last time the Dolphins team played in a snow game, I believe, was Pittsburgh last year in the playoffs. And it
wasn't a snow game as much. It was just a freezing game on
awful
snow. Turf.
Yes, it wasn't snow, but it was freezing, awful turf, and they didn't look so good. And a lot of complaints about the turfs that the cleats that they selected, and how it didn't allow traction and movement, and cornerbacks and defensive backs had to go after they allowed like 21 points in the first 5 minutes of the game. They had to go change their cleats, and then they started to play a little bit better. Learn your lessons from that, and make sure that you have this cleat situation perfected.
That's probably a good point. Or maybe it was just because those DBs were too slow. I've already forgotten the guy's name who was playing free safety at the end of the season who went to Georgia.
Bakari Rambo.
Bakari Rambo. Oh, man.
He was playing with an injury.
He was doing fine, but Antonio Brown is probably a Hall of Famer, but still, he made him look like the best receiver.
Hey, he made Tony Lippett look pretty bad, too, and Tony Lippett's proven that he's pretty decent cornerback.
All right. Gary. Has Landry officially taken over the #1 receiving spot from Parker?
I don't know if he ever didn't have it.
He never had it.
Devontae, and I'm not on the Devontae sucks bandwagon. I think Devontae's injured. Devontae's making it.
I am on
the.
I am on that bandwagon.
Guys got talent.
I am riding that bandwagon.
Listen, if I
this
didn't
is what I'm
see
saying.
it,
I'm saying he's got that talent, and I'm saying we ain't ever gonna see it.
Ouch.
That's what I'm saying.
I think he worked very hard to get to the point where he could play at the level that he was playing before he got the injury. These things happen.
Before he got the injury? So what, when he was 6?
Ouch! Listen, before he got the latest injury.
Oh, okay.
He will eventually show you what he has as a football player. I don't know if it'll be this year. I don't know if it'll be in his contract year. You'll eventually see it. But it's funny that he reminds me a lot of Kenny Britt. Who's actually
just signed with the Patriots.
Yeah, going to be signing with the Patriots. And talent, just can't put it all together. Could do it one year, can't do it the next year. Consistency is going to have to be an issue that Devontae Parker masters.
It's just so, when you have a guy out there who you're constantly wondering what you're going to get out, Devontae Parker, when you're going to see what he's got. And then you've got a guy out there who's showing you everything he's got every game.
The intestinal fortitude, the fight, the commitment. I've always said this, and this made me not very popular. If I said Devontae Parker, if he had Jarvis Landry's toughness and heart, he'd be Des Bryant or Julio Jones. Not every player is built the same. Devontae has all the ability in the world, no question about it. Best ability of all those receivers on the team. Not exactly number 2 or 3 in the toughness or heart category. And hate to question a guy's heart and commitment because he's working and he's trying and he's doing it, but it just hasn't happened.
Also, sometimes it's not something you can just turn on either.
Definitely.
You got to kind of have had it for a while to sort of know about it. Okay. You got anything more for me? James. This is about as broad of a question as you can come. So far, what has this season shown / taught you about this team? The biggest lesson that you've learned from this team?
That's an amazing question. I've gained a greater appreciation for Ryan Tannehill. I always was curious about what the alternative would be, whether it be Matt Moore or Jay Cutler. I now know what the alternative is.
It's not as good as right
and
now.
Ryan Tannehill is not great. He's at his best on a good day, a top 16 quarterback in the NFL. But the alternative isn't good. So keep riding that train, and hopefully one day the light bulb will come on for him, and he will play like an elite, just like Matt Ryan did for one season. I've learned that you can't give a head coach everything he wants. You got to do what you believe is right and stick with your convictions. And the same thing with a head coach. You can't do what the asylum wants you to do, what the inmates want you to do in the asylum. It's just, you spend a lot of time building an offense around Jay Ajayi, catering to Jay Ajayi, and it just wasn't who you were. And Adam Gase went back to that, and he's found his groove again. So those are the things that I've really learned about this season, this season.
I take a couple things that we've talked about today, that running back kind of doesn't matter. You got to be talented. You got to be good, but there's not a
the New Orleans Saints disagree
change.
with you. Alvin Kamara. I think the Kansas City Chiefs disagree with you. Those two running backs added a tremendous dimension to their offense, took a lot of pressure off their defense. Now, it hasn't always panned out, especially for Kansas City, but running back, it's an important position. Don't overlook it.
I'm not saying it's not an important position. I'm saying, do you think if Alvin Kamara was the starting running back for the Dolphins, do you think he would be that much better than what Jay Ajayi and Kenyon Drake has given you this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
I don't. I disagree.
What else? Let's take some.
Okay, from the, what we got?
The newcomer first.
What's your name, man? Casey.
All right. Ryan Tannehill was healthy this year. How many more wins do you think the Dolphins would have?
Question is, from Casey, if Ryan Tannehill was healthy, how many wins would the Dolphins have?
I think they probably have one more win than they have at this point in the season.
Raiders game, maybe?
Maybe the Raiders game. Tannehill is going to not have those Jay Cutler 3 turnover kind of performances. So I would have to say that they'd have one more win. He plays a little bit cleaner, a little bit more. Well, actually, Jay Cutler's been conservative this season as well. So he's conservative. He's Jay Cutler with a little bit more polish. And I hate to say polish because Jay Cutler's a pretty polished quarterback. He's a pretty seasoned quarterback. But Ryan Tannehill, to me, at the beginning of the season, I would have told you, doing these shows, that Jay Cutler's got way more ability. And he does have more natural ability, more comfort in the offense, more comfortable in the pocket. But Jay Cutler's 32 and does not want to get hit. And Ryan Tannehill has proven that he'll stick in there and take those tough hits.
All right. Next, Casey, you got another one for us?
Over the last couple of years, winning in the cold, do you think the Dolphins have gotten rid of that December label? They won in the cold Monday. They won in Buffalo last year on the road.
I wish they could hear the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Casey says the Dolphins have won a couple of cold games recently, specifically in Buffalo last year. Have they shed that can't win in
They
December?
all want to talk a good game about how the cold doesn't matter and how snow doesn't matter and all that kind of stuff. But I saw it in Pittsburgh.
God, Pittsburgh. It was not more obvious ever than it was in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. They were not set.
They were not built to play
Not built to play
in
that game.
in those conditions. Ryan Shazier coming out with his shirt off, God rest his soul. Hopefully he heals.
He's not dead.
Yeah, hopefully he heals. But that just like players are like looking at that like, really?
Well, I will never forget I was standing in the tunnel because
Yeah.
it was too cold for me to be out on the field pregame, and watching the Dolphins get out there.
People don't know what it's like.
They walking out to warm up. Some of them have just a T-shirt on, and they're laughing and kind of looking at each other like, "Well, I got to warm up." And then coming back and just like their skin is just red, and they're just got this look on their face like, I cannot believe.
Yeah, it's that cold. It was cold.
Darren Rizzi, of course, he didn't play him, but a special teams coach. Oh, I will never. The look on his face when he came back after opening warm was
Listen,
crazy.
I know they say football is meant to be played in December in snow and these kind of elements, but they're liars. Like Buffalo should not play in Buffalo all of December. They should get like one little game in December. Like, did you see those conditions last week?
That was not football. Whatever that was not football. What else do we got?
I was going to ask you in regards to Jarvis Landry. He's had a nice 4 years. If they don't re-sign him, is that going to undermine the whole take care of our own mentality that they've been trying to build?
Yeah.
Question is if the Dolphins don't sign Jarvis Landry, does it undermine the whole we sign our own thing that
And we take care of our own.
We take care of our own.
It does undermine it, but last year you did that, and it didn't really benefit you as an organization and as a team. And I'm not saying that taking care of your own is a bad thing, because I think it's a good thing, especially the young players that you invested in. But I don't think this is going to be a situation in Miami's hands or in Miami's control. The market is going to dictate what Jarvis Landry gets. Now, if Alshon Jeffries, if a team out there views him in the Alshon Jeffries company, then the Dolphins are going to have to fork over $35 million. We could be looking at another Olivier Vernon situation where you love the player, you want him to be back, but you're not willing to pay him that ridiculous price. Same situation with Charles Clay. There's nothing wrong with developing your own. Just don't overpay it. And set your price on Jarvis Landry. To me, he's $11 million a year. He's $33 million guaranteed. That is my price. I've been told, hey, it's a ridiculous price. Market says it's going to go higher. Well, look at the market last year. No receiver got over $8 million a year.
Yeah.
Set your price, stick with it, and stay to your convictions. Have a contingency plan, and hopefully they have one.
Other teams have more cap space. Other teams can offer more money sometimes.
Yeah.
The Dolphins don't have a lot of wiggle room to do that.
Do not have a lot of wiggle room this year.
Anything else? Any more questions? No? Good? All right. Good. Thank you so much for watching X's and Omar Overtime. Hopefully we'll still be able to talk about the playoffs
Wow.
next week. Thanks for watching.